Aviation Nation also introduced the public to the new U.S. aerobatic team. Now, C4 cameras take you inside the cockpit to meet the only pilot on the U.S. team who happens to be from Southern Nevada. Jim Abraham laughs as he admits he flies with his face. His concentration is as intense as the grip of gravity inside the quiet cockpit of his tumbling plane. This is what the wildly spinning but absolutely controlled flight looks like from the ground. Precision marks every move. Careful choreography shows off both the plane and the pilot. The dance in the sky leaps and twists and turns capriciously until, in a heart-stopping stunt, the pilot cuts his engines for a tail slide.
Rated by a panel of judges on a scale of 0 to 10 in each individual maneuver as the
Jim Abraham is one of 6 pilots nationwide selected for the U.S. aerobatic team. That's Olympic-level flying, folks.
Rarely does a dream come true like that at the Nationals. It was so emotional. You know, I couldn't believe I actually attained that goal after 30 years. It was a lot of work. It was very emotional for me. I put in over 300 hours of practice time. It wasn't easy. Family, friends, North Las Vegas Airport had a lot of great support.
Unfortunately, just as Abraham reached that lifelong dream, the terrorist attacks of September 11th cast a dark shadow. The U.S. canceled plans to compete. Instead, Abraham spent this sunny morning preparing for a demonstration at the very airfield where his love of the sport was born.
My father was in the Air Force. He was stationed out here, and this is where I saw my first air show. And ever since then, it's been aviation all the way. What we do is we visualize every maneuver in real time, so when we get in the cockpit, you don't have to think. That's the last thing you want to do. You don't have time to think. You're going too fast, you're too low, so it should be just second nature.
You can see why as you watch the earth and sky blur into oblivion. Maneuvers that would make any sane passenger reach for a parachute are just enough to make this pilot gasp for a bit of breath. Abraham explains it in his blood.
I'd hear these stories since I was, since I could walk. And being exposed to this throughout my lifetime, it just was in my blood. I knew nothing else. People would do other sports. I knew nothing but aviation.
Now Abraham is at a turning point in both his life and his career. He faces a terrible question that only pilots can know. Is it time to push the eject button? His thirst for competition could lead him to try out for the U.S. team again next year. Or he could keep to his day job as a dentist. The call for this surprisingly safe choice comes from a new pounding of his blood, a new flying face, a new 8-month-old baby girl.